What advice would you give for a young man or woman who wants to go into the military?
Do it. Yeah. As we've talked over and over, that's one of the best slogans they ever use in the Army is be all you can be, because you really can. I believe that, always have. That you can go as high as you want, you can get as much education as you want, you can influence as many people as you want, you can train people, you can make an impact and difference in people's lives. That's one thing about 25 years in the Army. I look back and I, just as a little mathematical exercise, when I was running one day, I said, okay, how many units have I been in? How many soldiers were in each unit? How many times did the unit composition turn over? And I said, yeah, I've influenced X thousands of people. I've touched the lives of X thousand people. Some of them I run into years and years later. And one example I'll give you, when I was a company commander as a captain in Fort Hood, I had a specialist, a low-ranking soldier, and she was in my unit. Okay. Fast forward, I'm a lieutenant colonel, I'm a battalion commander. So I had the first big meeting with all the soldiers in Cochise Theater. And so at the end of it, I said, okay, my helpers here are going to pass out 3x5 cards, and I'd like you to write down 3 good things that are about the unit right now and 3 things that need to be fixed. Then I read all those. And one of them was from Sergeant Ginrick. She said, sir, I was in your unit when you were a captain. If you do what you did then with this unit, you're fine. We'll be good. And I said, that's good. That was a good feeling that I had had that positive influence on a soldier who remembered it and said, yep, keep doing that and our unit will be fine. So yeah, I would, well, we've had the conversation over and over. It was a good life, still is a good life for me because that's where I came from.
Should we continue to downsize the U.S. military?
It's about, well, the real question is how many missions can you take on? And that's what drives the size of the military. And right now, it's sized below what the national security strategy says you need to be able to do the mission. So it's all driven by the requirement. If the requirement says you need to be able to fight a war in Northeast Asia, Korea, and also fight one in Southwest Asia, Iraq, or not Iraq, Iran or Syria, and the force has to be sized to be able to do both of those, and right now it's not there anymore. We would have a hard time doing both of those things. And if you can't get your allies to make up the difference, then you got to make it up yourself. So we're about where we're thin. We're thin.
Is that concerning to you?
Yeah, it is. But I think both parties realize that. The Republicans are, beating their chest, we're going to build up the military. Well, a lot of that's just emotionalism. People say, oh, that's great. We got to have the strongest military in the world. We already do. But it's not quite sized to be able to fulfill the commitments that we as Americans expect it to be able to do. You either got to get rid of the commitments or build up to where you're ready. Otherwise, what you do is you're wasting people. If you end up fighting this kind of fight, you're going to kill a lot of people because you don't have enough forces to be able to cover the requirement.
Do you expect there to be a sustainable diplomacy between China and the United States, even though they continue to grow in power?
Yeah, I think so. They really play a long game, and they're never rash in what they do.
You got to admire that.
Yeah,
they're very shrewd.
And they take the long view. They've been around for thousands of years, and they take the long view. This whole thing with Korea as their client state shows how unwilling to be rash. Rashness would say, well, we need to thumb these guys down because they're going over the top with nuclear testing and preparations. But they tend to do things in a quieter way. So they take their time on things.
Thank you.
Well, I get a hug. I don't know if that'll make the cut. But